Mike Myers here. Well, it's 5 after 6 a.m. Cool outside. Not a cloud in sight. Well, yesterday was rain. A rain day. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking at this report right here that says 1 in 7 Americans are in poverty. Well, yesterday, last month's foreclosure report comes out. For you that don't know, foreclosure on real estate, houses, buildings, etc., where the people cannot afford to make the payments, and the banks or lending institution repossesses them, takes them away. Was at a all-time high. Companies are reporting rocket financial deposits. Have money in the bank. They're reporting they're doing good. They're doing great. Something's missing in this entire equation. Somebody's lying. Something ain't right. All these companies are doing great, but then so many people are in poverty. So many people are unemployed. So many people are losing their houses. And corporate America is doing a bang up business. Something it's not right. Jerk off with the numbers. That's what it is. Not yesterday, but the day before, in the evening, I'm watching CNBC. And Maria Bartiromo was at West Point, Virginia, interviewing top leaders of the country, and military and civilian. Now, one of those people was the ex-president, CEO of Caterpillar. Now, he is the leader of the world, of the country. Caterpillar tractors are all over the world. So, everybody has to listen to him for advice because he's such a great person. Well, actually, he is a piece of shit. Piece of friggin' garbage. Let me tell you why. When he ran that and his company, same thing, and the internal of the company of Caterpillar, and I'm telling you, from a plumber, I'm just a single plumber, a regular guy, regular guys get beat up. I had a 955 Cat, and the starter went out. Caterpillar unloader, track unloader. So there's only one company you can call to fix them, and that's Caterpillar. So they came out, replaced the starter, and it was like $13,000. Well, a day later, it did not work, so they came out again and replaced the starter. That was another $12,000 or $13,000, something like that. You know what I mean? Then it did it again. A day later, it went out. So I have a $15,000 bill. So I have let's say three $13,000 bills to replace the starter. Well, I bought the Cat because I had a bigger digger, 50,000 pound digger. I dig foundations and deep sewer lines. And so then I needed a cat to push the dirt in. So I had problems with the contract because my cat wasn't working. A cat would dig foundations. You could use it to dig foundations, dig driveways, move gravel around, etc. Oh, very powerful piece of equipment. Move a lot of dirt. So, I paid the first one, and I paid half of the second one. And I figured, well, gee, why should I pay all three of them? So they sued me, and I sued them. Well, their lawyer told me if I do not drop my suit against Patent Tractor, which is the Caterpillar distributor for the Midwest, they would destroy me financially, mentally, and physically. And he told me that they have a lawyer firm that occupies the entire floor of the Sears Tower. It's not Sears Tower now. I don't even know if it was the Sears Tower back then, or you know what I mean. A skyscraper in Chicago, probably Sears Tower. So anyway, and they will bankrupt me with attorney costs in defending myself, or what have you, legal jargon, before I even got to court. Depositions, they'll have this thing continued for so long. They'll have 500 lawyers defending Caterpillar, Patent Tractor. And they'll ruin me. And he gave me examples of how they've ruined other contractors like myself. So, as much as I would like to spit, fight, etc., I mean, it's just numbers, and the reality, you have to accept. And you know what? I realized that right then and there, as much as I would like to fight, I cannot win. So that's what the CEO of Caterpillar, who was on CNBC, that's what he represents. I think he's a piece of shit. His mental attitude is faltered, is problematic, and this is mainstream society. Screw the regular little guy. We're our boss. It's our way or the highway. There are a bunch of other interesting, really goofball things that the generals and other leaders were saying that just did not make sense. And people in the audience were applauding. Whew. So anyway, you see, these stories, this little story here, is it's reality check. Oh, then prior to that, there was Kramer with Mad Money, and he was telling everybody how Ford Motor Company is the greatest company. Buy stock in Ford Motor Company. It's great. Well, I think Ford Motor Company is a large company, but there's problems with that company too. Well, if you buy a van from Ford, 350. I'm only familiar with the 350s or 250s or 150s. Uh, if you have to replace the spark plugs, you got to pull the motor out. Yes, you got to pull the motor out. You got to spend $7,000-8,000 to pull the motor out to change the spark plug. What the frig is that stupid crap? So once the motor, the spark plugs last maybe 80,000, 100,000, 120,000 miles. But once this, if it doesn't really matter if the spark plug needs to be pulled out at 50,000 miles, you got to pull the motor. So who the heck would design a car like that or van like that? So that the van I'm driving, I made sure it was not a it's got 100 grand miles on it. After the big fire, my Ford van got wiped out. But so I purchased another van, and I can only afford what you can afford. So it had 100,000 miles on it, so I can't afford a Chevy. A Ford. And then buy a Ford, and then you got to spend $8,000 for new replace the plugs. I bought a Chevy. But anyway, it's the engineers, top engineers of the world of Ford Motor Company. They designed this vehicle like this. And then there was this other issue that in England, this was a couple years ago, a year ago. England has this car that gets 60 miles a gallon. And Ford does not want to import it or build it in the United States because it's uneconomical. They can't make any money on it. What the frig is that all about? You know what I mean? It would be a good thing for the economy. Good thing people would think they're getting a bargain. It would do mental good for Americans. But no, there's no economics in it. They would not make money in it. So they're not going to do it. The best car in America for gas mileage, I don't care if it's Honda, Toyota, Nissan, is like 35 miles a gallon. This thing got about 65 miles a gallon. But it's not economic. So screw the see, this is what I'm talking about. The status quo mentality is got to go. We cannot do this anymore. You want to know why the government ain't pushing revolutionized technology like batteries or stuff like that? Because the government needs the tax money on the oil. The government needs the tax money from the oil. So with this mental attitude, nothing will ever change. We'll be oil dependent, burning fossil fuels, hydrocarbons. So this has got to change. What's going to change this? I don't think it's a volunteer. People going to want to volunteer to change something like this. Usually things keep on going the way they are until something happens. So anyway, this is the gloom and doom Mike Mars report commentary for Friday. So I'm going to about 14 minutes 30 seconds. So anyway, I want you all to have a nice weekend. I hope things get better. So that's it for about now. Alright, bye.